Welcome back, man. It's a harder report. Rough nights, early mornings, but we're never missing out on the content, man. Every single week we're here. I guess we can call it a trade deadline special. I don't know if we can call it that, but that's basically what it is. We're just gonna dig into what happened with the most recent NBA trade deadline that just passed. So before we get into all that, let's see what's going on with the boys. It's been a minute. It's been a lot of moves. So let's see what it's up to. Kev, we've been talking about since the last time we spoke.
No, I'm good, yo. I'm happy to get into it. We'll get to talk about the pump fakers and the actual shot takers at this trade deadline. So it's, as I said last pod, yo, this to me it's kind of uneventful. Mans get hyped up every year about all this movement that's supposed to happen and it doesn't happen. We got one good blockbuster trade, I'd say. We'll get into that still. Happy to be here, though.
Chris, what are you up to, man?
Not even to spoil the thing, but the blockbuster trade. Shout out to Orlando for getting out of purgatory, getting out of NBA fodder zone and actually having a clear direction. But I've been blessed, honestly. I've been blessed. It's been a good week. NBA deadline is one of my favorite time of the year, and it wasn't the most eventful day, but it was enough. It was enough for me for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like the NBA trade deadline for me, it's one of those days where it's just like I'm not a fan of the midseason moves, but like if you are gonna make a move to strengthen your roster going into the playoffs, then so be it. But I'm just about blowing up the entire roster. But while we're on that topic, let's just dig into it. So for the first trade that we can discuss, Nikola Vucevic got traded to the Bulls. I believe it was him and there was someone else I went with. Him and Al Farouk Aminu got traded to the Bulls, and in exchange, the Orlando Magic got Otto Porter. And who's the other guy that they got? They got Otto Porter and
I think what's his name?
It doesn't matter.
Remember the scrubs.
Wendell Carter Jr.
and Wendell.
That's what he matters still. My fault.
Nah, he can't matter still. But I'll leave it up for you guys. Just quickly on the topic, like I feel like the Bulls, I don't know if they're short-sighted because they know that like, hey, Zach LaVine's contract's going to be up in about a year or two, and like he's the most relevant player we've ever had since Jimmy, and now we need to make a push for the playoffs. Like I understand it to some degree, I just don't know if this is the move, right? Because you get 2 first-round picks as well. Granted, they're top 4 protected, but 2 first-round picks that lightly protected could actually come back to bite you, but I don't know. But Kev, what do you think about that trade?
Yo, if not this, then what? Like, if it wasn't this, then you're gonna end up trading Zach LaVine. Still, that's the way I see it. So at least go get Vuce, who's consistently performed for like 4 years now, at like an all-star level, and Wendell Carter Jr. Like we saw, they gave up on him still. To slap him on the bench, to put him on the bench with that roster and start Thad Young it shows like they gave up on him. They were done with him, and at that point, like I just see it as 2 first-round picks because next year Wendell Carter Jr. is going to be up for restricted free agency. You're not going to pay him, so you let him go and you bring in a guy in Vuce who can actually help you win right now. He's basically carried the Orlando Magic to the playoffs for what, 2 years in a row now on his dolos. And you add him with Zach LaVine. You have guys like Sadaransky who can probably help you win games. Thad Young's still on the team. And you get Al-Farouq Aminu who might be able to play some minutes for you. For me, I think they're a lot better than they were last week. And I think that's important because it was only a matter of time where Zach LaVine was supposed to go out there and put 30 and get slapped by 20 every night before he told Messi to trade it. And I think they just bought themselves some time and they could actually be decent. They can be good now.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the Chicago Bulls are back to middle ground fodder to me, which is why to me the winner of the trade just has to be Orlando on a lot of front, but it's also because I'm biased to that type of thinking or that type of logic. When in Orlando was like the poster child for me when you talk about a team that is stuck in the mud in quicksand with nowhere to go and they're just sinking slowly. That's what I thought they were. And for them to now go out there and say we're gonna sell Vuce. Nobody thought that they would actually do that. And the package that they got back, yeah, it wasn't the greatest, but it was still pretty great. Two first round draft picks, top 4 protected from Chicago could be so sweet. It could be so because they're not gonna be bad to the point where they're one of the worst teams in the league, but they can be bad to the point where they're in the top 10. You know what I'm saying? They're 5 through 10 in the lottery. and now you're smiling. And yeah, you may not want to pay Wendell, but who knows? The market probably isn't even there for him to say that he's going to go out there and command money. So you may just get your starting center for $10 million a year. If that's how it shakes out, you look pretty good. So like for me, I'm saying that Orlando is definitely the winner for me, especially with the other moves. It's a complete rebuild, complete rehaul. It's time for them to realize that this eight seed and out, it's just fuckery, honestly. And that's what Chicago is trading. They're saying they want to be a playoff team year in and year out, even if that means that they'll be gone in the first round every single year. But good for them because they haven't had that in like since fucking Derrick Rose is there. So it's all good.
And I hear that, but my only thing is like you bolstered your roster and you still might be a middling team. Like that's the problem that I have.
But
Like,
yo, they were
yeah,
garbage. Like they had to move up. You can't just go from garbage to playoff favorite. Like you got to start somewhere. You have to.
Yeah, but it's not even starting. So they're starting at the end of their road because Mandamart, you know what I'm saying? Like Vuce is what 30 plus. So you're basically signing up for 2 years of this Vooch max, and
But
now
yo, like you got to do something, man. That's the way I see it. Like I understand. I hear you guys, right? Like you're not in no way are there any type of favorites to even win around in the playoffs, right? But mans don't go from dog shit have they been for the past 5 years to all of a sudden being a top 4 seed in the East. I understand that Vuce is going to give you about 2 years, but start there. Maybe some guys now that you're waiting on can perform better. Maybe next year you get something out of Kobe White or you get something out of Patrick Williams, and now your team's much better than you thought it was. I just think you got to start somewhere because, again, you have Zach LaVine performing, and it was only a matter of time.
I hear
At
that.
least,
I hear that. I just think maybe like again, I'm not for the move, but if you're gonna make the move, then make the move. Like we know Kobe White's not good. Like if you really want to get
but they
good, let's
made,
move the pieces that need to get moved.
but that's the best player available. No, they went and got the best player available.
Yeah, but
yeah, they well, yeah, for the people that we heard about, the rumors
Right,
that we
but
heard, he
right.
was the best
To we
available.
know, right? That's what I'm saying. And even to say that, like we didn't even know he was available going in. So like, I just think they did what they had to do. Still, like it might not look pretty in 3-4 years, but at the same time, like if I look at Orlando, their drafting history is not good,
not
as
at
like
all.
most teams. So like for you, I don't know if man's realized, but they've been looking for a starting point guard for years. They went and traded for Markel Fultz. They've been dumpster diving along with the New York Knicks trying to find point guard replacements. They went and got Cole Anthony, and they just brought RJ Hampton in. They're just searching for a man to be a point guard. And I just see that as them, they're just going to spend the next 2 drafts, whatever draft picks they get, trying to find that guy. And like they've done a bad job. Their best pick in the past 5 years is what? Jonathan Isaac, and he can't stay healthy. As good as I think he is. I don't think Aaron Gordon's good, who they spent a high pick on. Cole Anthony, he was kind of later, so I can't blame him for that. But I just think, obviously, Orlando, the reset makes sense for them. I just can't look at Orlando and say you're a clear winner. Yeah, you have that first round pick, but what are you going to do with it?
You don't
Because
have faith in them
It's
a
better.
lot.
It's better
right.
to have it though.
No,
It's like it's
but
better
it's
to
the
have
thing.
it than to have Vooch.
I kind of disagree with that though, because like Vuce wasn't. They could have had They could have had their own first round pick. It's different when a man's basically carrying you to the playoffs, and removing him from the team makes your team worse, which then improves your draft pick. They were already shit. You could have kept Vooch, drafted a guy, and at least look at your roster and say, "Can I do something now?" You trading Vooch. They're 14th in the East right now. Like you don't get any better. You
Yeah,
don't get
but
any
you don't.
worse.
Yeah, your draft pick. Yeah, your draft pick was shit regardless. But the whole point of trading him is because of the asset that you got in return. Like
But
that top
no.
four protected. I'd rather have that than have Vooch. Like they have 2 top 4 protected first round picks. For them, what is Vooch wasn't doing anything.
But
I don't
here's
need like I think
again,
they
like,
won like one game,
but here's the
one
thing,
game
like,
in the playoffs over
again,
the last like 4 years.
Yeah, but they're in the
again,
playoffs.
the asset, again, the asset sounds cool. I get it, right? The top 4 protected pick sounds blessed, right? It could be 15th, it could be 12th, it could be 10th, it could be anywhere in the top 10. I then look at it and say, even if they have a high pick, they have showed me no ability to pick well. And if I'm an organization I would like to have some self-awareness and realize, okay, I've shown no ability to make the right pick. Would I not take the proven player? I get that they're not winning playoff games. I understand that they're just getting there, and this year they're bad. But I don't know. At the end of the day, I'd still take Vuce before I go after 2 first-round picks. That may amount to absolutely nothing.
I'm telling you, bro. Make the move in the offseason, fam.
No, I'm not talking about no offseason stuff. I'm not talking about.
If you're gonna make a move, were they gonna get better than this in the offseason?
Yeah, I'm not talking about offseason stuff.
No, I'm joking around, but in all honesty, this is the exact reason why I say mid-season moves I'm not a fan of, because they don't always get better. On paper, it looks like you got better, but you don't always get better. And if the Bulls did all this and still end up as a 10th seed, what do they have to show for it? That's my only point. Like, this is one of those moves that's made on the fly. Like,
they have 2 all-stars.
Yeah, but do they really though? Because you could have 2 sub-tier all-stars and still be sniffing at the 9th seed. Next year, same way. It's like,
but I'm just saying they have 1 more all-star than they did last year. That's all.
Yeah, but he's an all-star, but like,
you see?
No. Don't talk down on Vuce now. Don't talk down. I'm not saying
he's not perennial.
I'm not saying he's perennial, but let's not move like this guy hasn't been putting up all-star numbers for at least.
Yes, he has. He has as the only valuable offensive weapon on his roster.
So you're telling me what? That his production's a product of his teaming shit?
I'm just telling you what is
You're not willing to say that then. That's what. Okay.
No, what I'm willing to say is he was the only valuable offensive option on his team, right. And whenever it came time to actually winning games, he didn't do anything. Well, that's not a lie.
So what? He didn't play well in the playoffs? Is that what you're saying?
He didn't do anything.
So he didn't win games. 1 seed? What you're saying? He's supposed to beat the 1 seeds?
Fam, listen. All I'm telling you is what I know. So he hasn't won. So like, I can't sugarcoat that in any other way, bro. I can only tell you what happened.
Because now 8 seeds are supposed to beat 1 seed. Still, I hear that.
Hey,
it's happened.
I hear that.
It's happened.
I hear that. I'm gonna remember that one though.
I can't sugarcoat the thing, fam. I can only tell you what happened.
Yo, all right. Let's move on because we got a couple more trades we got to talk about. So next we got Depot, and I guess we can bunch in the Harden trade. So, I mean, like, there's a lot of discussion in the NBA community. Basically, people just saying that basically the Rockets traded Harden for Karis LeVert and then traded Karis LeVert for Depot, and then they ended up with Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley.
You got to add Jared Allen in there too. Still.
And okay, yeah, Jared Allen, yes, found his way on the Cavs. Now, if we're just talking about the overall trade, like, I'm not gonna lie, it looks bad. Okay, let me talk about the Harden portion of the trade first. And it's gonna look bad because at the end, this is what you ended up with on the roster. But the fact that people weren't saying this when they initially got Depot and all those picks just tells me that
I was on this same podcast saying that they lost.
But
I was on the same thing saying that Cavaliers won the trade, bro. Go listen back.
No, I'm not talking about them winning. I'm talking about Houston in and of themselves. Right? Like, again, people are saying right now Houston doesn't know what they're doing.
And I was saying the Cavaliers won the trade.
No, okay, I understand, but you also said that the Houston did well still. You said Houston did well at the time when the trade first happened. You said Houston
finish your point, and then I'll continue.
So all I'm saying is that I think like people are having they're falling victim to the moment. Yeah, okay, now they technically ended up with Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley as a result of trading Harden, but like a couple weeks ago, people are not saying that.
Technically, they ended up.
But we know what came with Harden when he left, man. It wasn't just that. Like, you know what I mean? Because in my opinion, I'd rather have the way Oladipo was playing. I'd rather have the cap space and those draft picks than to be paying Oladipo right now to be in and out the lineup. It just doesn't make sense in my books. And he was a rental to begin with because they weren't going to sign that guy back. So it's just like, I don't understand why everybody's falling. Yeah, go ahead.
There's definitely revisionist history here, right? But like, I'm okay with that because I know for a fact on this pod, we all said Houston did well. Like, we're not like nobody came on here and said Houston did poor based on the situation that they're in. All three of us said Houston did well, right? The only thing for me is and I think Mans are kind of framing this in the sense of like, you gave up Karis LeVert and ended up with nothing. But people are forgetting the fact that they tried to extend Oladipo and he declined it. Right? So once you try and extend him, you obviously lost him at that point. So whatever you get back for him is a bonus. Right? People are framing it as if they traded Karis LeVert for Oladipo and then just let Depot walk for nothing. They tried to sign him. He declined.
They did still.
But they tried to sign him and he declined. So what are they supposed to do at that point? I guess that's my question. Like, I understand. Again, we can look back and say, yo, you guys obviously came up with next to nothing. I hear that, right? But we can't ignore the fact that we can't just move like they didn't try and re-sign Depot, because that's a very important time in this. Whether you want to say, okay, they should have asked Oladipo to see how he felt about coming to Houston and if he'd resign, that's the better discussion. Because if you trade for a man and he declines your contract offer, that means you didn't reach out to him and ask him Wagwan before you traded for him. That's a mistake.
A fact. That's a fact.
But we can't act like they traded LeVert for Depot, then traded Depot for Kelly Olynyk. There's an important event that happened within that time. That's all I'm saying.
See, to me, that's just excuses. Like,
no, it's a fact of the matter.
Yeah, but then the bottom line fact is that you did trade Depot for nothing. That's the fact. That's like the bottom line. You got back Skittles and some peanuts for Depot. That's the fact.
Okay, but I guess here's my question to you, right? I think mans are making that the issue when the issue should be that you traded for a man that wasn't willing to re-sign for you. Because again, once he says he's not re-signing, what are they supposed to do?
But that's their fault too, though, no?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I just said. Are you guys listening to me or what?
No, I hear that, but I'm saying we have to blame them as well.
But this is what I'm saying. When you say that, fam, I'm hearing excuses. Like, I'm hearing you saying like you can't really fault them. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know. I may be wrong.
So listen to what I'm saying. I said if there is blame to be had, it should be when they traded for a man that didn't guarantee his contract extension. That is me saying they're at fault. But I'm saying put the fault where it should be. Because once he does not sign the contract extension, which is their fault, what were they supposed to do? Keep him and let him walk? So that's all I'm saying. I'm saying we're focusing on the wrong thing right now. Yes, Houston is at fault, but focus on what matters here.
But I see that is fair, but I cannot not now focus on what happened. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying not to focus on the fact that they traded this and ended up with this. That's not what I'm saying. But let's not point to the fact that they traded him for Skittles, because we all know if a man's not re-signing for you, you're not getting more than Skittles. What we need to focus on is the fact that they clearly did bad business trading up LeVert, who had multiple years of contract, for a guy in Oladipo who clearly had no intentions of playing there, and they didn't confirm that.
See, I think the reason why mans are looking at what they did with the Heat is because it forces you now to go back to the original package. Like, the original trade didn't force us to go back to say, because again, yes, when they traded for Depot, the main reason why Mandem were saying, mans were saying like, maybe this can be a thing is because people had some type of hope in Depot. I know I did. Like I had some hope to say that Depot could be whatever. Like he could at least be as good, if not better, than Karis LeVert, especially after Karis LeVert with the whole that whole injury scare that he went through. But for me, it's like, yes, him declining that left him in a bad position. Fair. That is very fair. But my thing is then to turn around, it's almost like the Raptors where we would have the discussion. At what point do you say to yourself that on principle and pride alone, I can't do this? On principle and pride alone. Because literally you gave the man away and you actually didn't get anything in return, bro. Like they got a swap draft pick that you might as well have just gotten a second rounder, because you're not swapping picks with the Heat next year. You're shit. You're not swapping. So that it's like they toss that in there to make it look. It's like dressing, fam. It's just like window dressing, bro. Yeah. Like I would have rather him just walk. If that's the case,
you can't. Come on, man. Don't say
Chris,
that, man.
Rob Zombie.
What are you getting? You're actually getting nothing.
No. Okay, but listen to me, right? Everything you just said brings me back to when he declines the contract offer. Because once he declined that contract offer, you got absolutely nothing. You just traded Karis LeVert for nothing. Because what would have happened? In the offseason, when Depot walked, what would we have done? We would have looked back at the Harden trade and done the exact same thing we're doing now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Rather get taken for a ride?
But that's what I'm saying. We have to focus on what's important here. Because again, whether or not, if we're looking at Houston specifically, how Miami does is irrelevant to you. So once he declines that contract offer, you already lost him. You just traded Karis LeVert for nothing because your season's already over. And now, so Depot's not going to help you compete for shit, and he's going to walk in the offseason. So this trade looked bad from the moment Depot declined that offer because what did Mans think that Depot was going to go for something? Is that why
something?
Okay, clearly he wasn't though. That's what I'm saying. Clearly he has no value right now.
And what I'm saying is, when you realize that he's not going for anything, you pack up your ball and you go home off of principle and morals alone, bro. You can't get taken for a ride.
I'd rather you trade him for whatever you can get and give KPJ some time to let him hoop. So that's me personally. Like, again, I'm saying they're at fault, but because the way this turned out, yes, they're at fault. But I think Mans are focusing on the wrong thing. Their fault lies in the fact that every team that wanted to trade for Kyle Lowry, contract extension talks had to be had if you had any sense, unless you were willing to accept the rental. If you're not willing to accept the rental, you have to talk to him about contract. It's that simple. You traded Karis LeVert, who's on a decent contract for multiple years, for a guy on an expiring one. And at no point did you ask him, like, how do you feel about playing in Houston with John Wall?
They fucked up, honestly. Yes. In the macro level, if we're not trying to get into the details, what they did was they traded the man for 4 first-round picks, 4 swaps, which we don't see those amount into anything anyways, especially how Brooklyn are moving. So it's basically just 4 first-round picks and Kelly Olynyk. That's what they got back in the macro sense. So, like, which again, it forces you now to just double back for me. Like, I remember in the beginning, I said, like, if I was them, I would have taken Jared Allen, and it was good for the Cavs to just swoop in and take that their big man of the future. Like, so I don't know, bro. Like, me seeing them do what they did with the Depot and giving it up for scot free, like, yeah, they were in a bad position.
But I'll say this.
For me, it's like sometimes you just got to take your ball home.
I'll say this.
Like,
I think the problem here, and I don't know if it's obvious, but I don't know if Houston had a clear direction of what they wanted to do, because all indications when Harden got traded would have been, okay, yeah, they got John Wall, they got Oladipo, they're just gonna see what the tandem can do, and if they had extension talks with Oladipo, that was looking like their backcourt for at least the next 2 years, right? Granted, those talks fell through, and now all of a sudden they're doing a fire sale, but not really doing a fire sale. So it's like, what are your intentions? What are your motives?
So, question though, if they say they didn't offer Depot the extension and they just said that they're going to handle all of this at the end of the year, and then he still walked away, would it be the same reaction?
Yes,
because I don't feel like it would be.
Yeah,
I think it'd be worse.
I'm not saying react. Obviously, it wouldn't be the same initial reaction. But what Mans would do is at some point, someone's going to raise the question and post the picture of what came in and what went out for James Harden. So this still would have happened. We'd still be having the same conversations. What I'm saying, it's just once the media, everybody finds out that he declined the contract, now his value touches the absolute floor. If I'm trading for Oladipo, I know he has no use to you. You're already losing games. You have KPJ behind him who everybody wants to see play. We all know that. So what am I giving you at that point? I'm matching salary, and here, take what you can get. That's why I think they fucked up in the sense of if you trade Karis LeVert, right, who has multiple years on his contract, you got to confirm something with Depot, like something. And if Depot finessed them and said maybe Depot gave them some inclination that he wanted to play there, then sucks.
And then went on the 20 game losing streak and said, "Well,
yeah, maybe it sucks still, but that's still your fault, right?" Jared Allen, I think they just got completely fleeced. Still, like the way Jared Allen was playing, before he got traded, there was no reason for. I guess Houston didn't take him because again, they run small ball. They're probably going to park him behind Christian Wood, and he'd just be back on the bench again. So maybe they said first round pick is more useful to them, but like it's going to look bad. Like we're going to look back in history and it's going to look bad. And there's no excuse for it in terms of chalking up to, James Harden looked fat. None of that bullshit. Like James Harden was James Harden game 1 of this year and game 50 that we're into right now. So this shit's going to look bad at the end of the day. It is.
Honestly, this is the reason why trading superstar players is just so fucked, bro. Because I honestly can't remember the last superstar player that went and got a haul, like got a decent return, you know?
Yo, it can look decent at the time. Because we all came in here and said, yo, this looks fine. Like based on the situation, based on what we've seen in the past, like this looks okay. But when you look, whenever you go back and look at it, this shit always looks bad. The only one we can point to is that Denver trade for Carmelo Anthony. That's it. And what did they even get from that? Nothing.
Danilo.
Yeah,
And Wilson
nothing.
Chandler,
Yeah,
baby neck Wilson Chandler.
you didn't win any games from that. So like you're
Nah,
losing.
they
Look
made
at
the playoffs off of that, fam.
but I'm saying like you traded. Okay, look at the Lonzo trade, the AD trade. You re-signed. You got Brandon Ingram, obviously, but he's nowhere close to Anthony Davis. And now,
And Lonzo Ball,
but we're back to the trade deadline, and they're talking about trading Lonzo Ball.
which they
They
shouldn't
obviously
have.
did it, which they didn't. But like we're at a situation now where 2 years we might be looking at the Pelicans with just Josh Hart and Brandon Ingram, and I think Josh Hart's restricted too. So who knows? There's no winning still. Like there is none. That's why when I thought that the Houston Rockets went out and got a man like Depot, I thought they were in a better situation than most because they at least got a player that can hoop for the most part. That like to our knowledge, right? But I don't know.
I just think Houston's confused, fam. They didn't know have a clear direction of how they wanted to finish out the season. They thought that they had a plan.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it didn't work out for them, and now they started
Definitely should have
searching for
took
something.
whatever Philadelphia was offering, whatever package was surrounding that Ben Simmons, and apparently the sticking point with that was the extras that they wanted alongside Ben. Clearly, Ben
I
for
don't know.
Harden should have been the
Oh,
swap.
Ben, yeah. But I said that off rip. Still, you go get the guy that's an all-star, like 100%, not this fucking bullshit.
Let's move on to the next trade, though, because we got a couple more we're going to finish before we get out of here. So I guess this is a non-trade, but this is hitting close to home. Kyle Lowry and the Raptors. So everybody knows Kyle Lowry was the stalwart, quote unquote, of this trade deadline, along with Nikola Vucevic. He was the one that everybody expected to get traded. Even in his last game before the trade deadline, he was giving out peace signs, waving the hand like it's his last hurrah. So, I mean, me personally, I guess I'll just start off.
Deuces like Chris Breezy still.
Yeah, I'll start off. Like, I understand why teams didn't necessarily want. I'm not gonna didn't pull the trigger to trade for Kyle Lowry because from all the reports I read, the asking price is really high, and that's not to say that Kyle Lowry is not worth it. It's just the fact of the matter that he's 35.
He's not.
He's 35 still.
He's 35. You're gonna have to pay him his next contract if you're gonna give up all that, and on top of that, you're gonna give up maybe a 1-2 rotational piece to actually get it done. To me, it seems like a high price to pay, knowing that this guy could very well be on the open market next season or in the off season. I don't know if I understand like teams like Philly could probably use him, and that might be the missing piece to their championship run. But giving up 2 first-round picks, this, that, and then on top of that, having to be the one to give him his next contract when he's looking for anywhere between 20 to 25 million a year at age 35, I'm cool. And on the Raptors' perspective, they didn't pull the trade, but they got the cap. Simple as that.
Yeah, I think it's a weird situation where, like, if I look at it from the outside and not a Raptor fan, right? I don't think Kyle Lowry has any value. Like personally, I think. Sorry, let me clarify that. Right, he has some value, but like barely, because again, like everything Rob just alluded to, he's 35, and you're gonna have to give him 50 million over 2 years. So that means at age 37, he'll be making 25 mil. So I'm talking about in a trade. If I'm trading for a guy knowing I have to do that, I should be able to look at the Raptors and say, look, like, are you guys going to pay him that 50? No. So, like, what am I really asking? What am I really giving you here? But at the same time, from the Raptors' perspective, they kind of have to ask for a lot, or Lowry will get traded as a rental. Like, if you don't have to give up anything to get Lowry, you don't even care about re-signing him. So it kind of puts them in a situation where they're asking for a lot. Maybe, like, I don't see why a team would give up a lot for Lowry, but at the same time, if you really want a man like Lowry, I don't think Talon Horton-Tucker or Tyrese Maxey should be the point you stick your foot in the ground and say, yo, I'm done. Like, that's me personally. Like, I feel like if this is the guy you deemed as the one that's going to take you over the hump, then THT should not be what's stopping you here. Because if you're trading for Lowry and giving him $25 million over the next 2 years, THT clearly doesn't fit your timeline. So what are you doing here? When is he going to play? Likewise, I don't know what the sticking point was for Philly. I don't know if it was Thibault or Maxey. But, like, what's stopping you here? Those guys aren't... I hate when men get caught up with these young players who play well and move like they're some type of guy, because John knows when their contract's expired, you're not paying them. or there's going to be some type of issue, or the minute they start playing bad, you're going to switch up. Same way how back in November, I think it was, or December, mans are moving like Tyrese Maxey can't get traded for James Harden. Now look, I haven't heard about Tyrese
It
Maxey
wasn't
in
just
months.
James Harden,
Fam,
or
you
it
told
wasn't
me if
just
they include
Tyrese
Tyrese
Maxey. It was
Maxey,
Tyrese and Ben,
you
fam.
told me. Okay, yeah, that's my point. If Tyrese Maxey is where you draw the line, then you're not serious. Because
But
back
yo,
then,
it's not just the player though. It's in conjunction. Like you can't just look at it as a singular player, bro.
nah, because you know why? Back then, Tyrese Maxey had went for 40, I think, at some point when mans were injured, and we were moving like the league was moving like he was a guy. Does he even start? Does he even play anymore?
Yeah, he does play. He's in the rotation still.
He's definitely not that guy. He's definitely not. You don't look at him the same way.
Yeah,
You look
but
at him.
the dogs are back, fam. Like
That's my point. That's my point. When the
You're not
dogs came
serious
back,
though.
he
Sixers
was
aren't
never going to be
serious.
that guy. That's all I'm
Yes,
saying.
but fam,
Like,
it's different though because he showed you what he has in him. You know what I'm
but yo,
saying? Like he showed you that.
but again, it's not even specific to the Sixers. Because I'm talking about the Lakers too with THT. Like, imagine moving like he's some type of guy because what he played well in preseason. Right now, Anthony Davis, LeBron James is out, and he's getting 16 minutes a game. What is he doing for you? What is he going to do for you in the future? When is he going to get the minutes to even improve himself? And that's the guy that you're putting your foot in the line. Again, me personally, I think the Lakers trading Schroeder plus Montrez and all these mans for Lowry was a bit of a stretch, anyways. But if you're willing to trade Schroeder and Montrez, THT,
It wasn't Montrez though. It was
Schroeder and
reported KCP and Dennis.
okay. So if you're willing to trade Schroeder and KCP, THT can't be when you're like, oh fuck it, nah.
Again,
I hear
it's in
that stuff.
conjunction.
I
It's
hear
in
that stuff.
conjunction. So like if you're already feeling like, bro, I'm already giving you Dennis, which is a quality starting point guard, you know what I'm saying? Like he's a quality starting point guard in the league, and in KCP, you know, he has more value to us than he may have to you, but we still see him as valuable. Now you want the lone young talent on the roster? Nah, like you're wilding. But for me, I'm looking at that in respect to Masai Ujiri, right? And I asked a question last week when we were saying should we or should we not trade Kyle Lowry, and I said it has to be yes, we have to trade him because when the off season comes, what do we then do? What are we signing him? No, we're not. So then we have to move him. And to me, that was the same logic that other teams use to not sign him, saying that if we trade for this man, yes, we have to re-sign him to make it worth it. But to me, bro, the deals that were on the table that were being reported from the different mandem,
Was a
Philly allegedly put 2 first-round picks on the table with Maxi and Thibault. We declined it.
Wait,
The
no, hold
Heat,
on. I thought it was that they didn't want to include Thibault.
not Thibault. Thibault was a sticking point. Yeah,
not,
Thibault.
but bro, it said that they included it. They included Thibault in the deal, bro. But the issue with that is they needed to get a third team to come in. But the Raptors, regardless, said no to that. Like when it came to getting the deal done, they said no to it. Then you go
Yeah,
over to the Heat, bro. They offer you Duncan Robinson. I'm not saying Duncan Robinson is the biggest meal on the table, but it'll satisfy your belly, fam.
Not
Duncan
when you have
Robinson
Matt
can get the
Thomas.
job done.
We just moved
yo,
Matt Thomas because
yo,
it's the same
was
Matt
guy.
it?
Thomas is shit, man.
So was Duncan Robinson,
What are you
man.
talking
Come on.
about?
No, relax. Yo, was it? So this is why I originally said that. Like, I don't think Kyle Lowry had any real value. Is this not the same situation as Oladipo?
Nah, it's not because, bro,
Bro, I'm not comparing talent, but I'm talking about the sense that, like, I know you don't want this guy on your team next year, and I know if I sign the trade for this guy, I have to
but
sign him.
it's different though because with Kyle Lowry, it was universally agreed upon that this was the piece in the market to get a team like Philly, the Heat. I don't know really. I don't know why LA became runners in this, but Philly and the Heat, he was supposed to be the piece to put them on the same standing ground as the Nets. Like it was universally agreed upon that was the situation. So you were going to get something. The market would have materialized for him, and it did. But this was Masai Ujiri doing what Houston should have done, taking your ball and going home if you don't think that the package is to your liking. But to me, the package should have been, fam. Your chest is too high. That's what I would tell Masai if I'm the owner. Your chest was too high, boss. Because you can't tell me that we know the man is leaving and we have a chance at Duncan Robinson, and you're gonna tell me no.
But
I'm
hold
not even
on.
mad at them for not taking the LA pick, the LA trade, because I don't really those players to me. are here today and gone tomorrow in the grand scheme of things. But you can't tell me that a Thibault and a Maxey and a Duncan Robinson wasn't going to fit our team.
So,
Wasn't
yo,
going to be
Chris,
some
let me
a
ask you this.
Thibault on the Raptors? Come on, bro.
Let me ask you
That'd
this,
be
Chris.
neat.
Let me ask you this. I think this is a very important question. Would you rather have those guys or $30 million in cap space? That's what it really boils down to. That's what it's boiling down to. Duncan Robinson or 30 million cap space.
Take it in, though, Rob. And take it in, Robs, right? This is why I say that I wouldn't have taken the LA, right? Because those guys are, you know what they are. You know what I'm saying? You know what a KCP is. You know what a shooter is. And I'm pretty sure KCP has one more year on his deal after this year at like $8 million, and Shooter's a free agent. But still, you know what those guys are, and we're not signing those guys back anyway. So you might as well just not take that team, which is why Taylor Horton Tucker would have had to be in that trade for me personally with the Lakers. But Thibault, Maxey, or Duncan Robinson, nah, like I want those players because they're quality players you can build on.
Yo,
quality
Duncan
players,
Robinson.
bro.
Duncan Robinson is an expiring contract right now still, so you're gonna have to pay him.
But I would have said he's a restricted though, and you can only pay him so much.
He's not restricted.
Actually, he's second round. He's undrafted. He's not restricted.
Yeah,
he's unrestricted. Oh, say where he went second round.
So wait, did he even get drafted?
Nah, he went undrafted. So essentially, we could have looked back and said we traded Lowry for nothing because a man like Duncan Robinson could command a ridiculous premium. Whatever Joe Harris got, he's getting at least.
He'll get a little bit under Joe Harris. Joe Harris got like 60 mil.
Yeah, he'll get more than that. So I think. But yeah, like I'm not mad. Like looking at it, I originally said, like it's time to trade Lowry, and it wasn't anything to do with his talent or what he was doing for the team. I just thought it was time. Like, when the time actually
what's
came,
more painful?
What?
When they traded Matt Thomas, you know what the reporting was?
Oh, that they were clearing a space, shall I?
You see what I'm talking about?
But I'll take that second. I feel like that's more like speculation than anything, though. I'll take a second round for Matt Thomas. That man is dookie. So like,
but that happened after they traded Norman Powell. So they traded Norman Powell and got back the two bodies, right? So man's like, oh, okay, that means Kyle Lowry must be moving then. And then they made the trade for Matt Thomas, and then man's like, free up a next space now. Lowry trade soon come, fam. And it just never came.
I feel like the clock just ran out on Masai. So I think he was just trying to get the last. He was waiting
too
for
big for his boots, fam. Where to Stormzy, boss?
Sixers went out and got George Hill, and they probably backed off a bit. Miami Heat got Depot, and then that was it. Like it was quiet after that. I think the Heat, based on what they had to give up for Depot, it was way better they went after Depot than Lowry personally. Like based on what they had to give
up.
Way
better still.
Yeah, and then the Heat.
They should have done that off rip. They should have never even entertained.
I think the Sixers should have gave up Thibault for Lowry if it came down to it, because again, like it's Thibault, fam. Like I understand he's a great defender, but when he's missing shots in the playoffs, mans are gonna be getting cheesed because that was the man that you said is.
But they don't even the way they use him. They don't use him to where. Like Danny Green has to make shots for our team to win. No,
but I'm saying when they leave him open. When they leave him open is what I'm saying. When they put him in a situation where they're saying we're defending four guys, and you're going to be in that corner, you're going to have to make shots. If he's missing shots, mans are going to be vexed because this was the guy that you told us was the difference.
Honestly, and this is a whole other conversation. But as a Philly fan, I'm looking at Thibault and I'm saying that I'm kind of disappointed in the fact that he hasn't been able to be a reliant. I'm not even saying that he has to be a 40% 3-point shooter. I'm saying that I thought that he was going to come into this year around 35%. 35.
That's league average,
he's at like 30.
You expect him to get better.
Yes, but he's at like 31% right now.
But and this is what I'm talking about. These guys, these mans are not like these Tyrese.
No, but his skill set is his skill set is elite.
So is Tony Allen's,
and we know that. Exactly.
He couldn't hit the side of the backboard.
If Thibault,
he's not Tony Allen. So.
Exactly. If Thibault ends up being Tony Allen, then why would I even think about trading him?
Yeah,
because that's the perfect player on our roster.
I was using that. I was using that analogy or that comparison in a bad way. I think Tony Allen was overrated because he played for the Grizzlies and they had a theme and a mantra of being this defensive grindhouse. But the reality is he was just a good defender that couldn't hit the side of the backboard. And that's what I think about Thibault.
He was a great defender.
Okay, but even so, so was Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart, look at what he does for you on the offensive side of the ball. Like, you
Tony
know what I mean?
Allen was a better defender, and Tony Allen, and there's a reason why Marcus Smart is in trade rumors every year,
But
but
that's my
never can
point.
get
With
traded,
these
bro.
guys,
The value
how
is there.
good are they
Yeah,
actually?
he's in trade rumors because of his contract, but they never actually trade him.
No, I
Yeah, the
understand
value.
that.
He's in trade rumors all the time, but the value is there, and they can't
No, I
move him.
understand it. But my point is how good are these guys actually? Like, you know what I mean? How good are these guys actually? If you can't hit
Ross,
the side of the
you're trying to
backboard,
prove a point.
31%.
You're trying to prove a point, but you're wilding right now still.
Nah, bro. My thing is,
No,
you
I
could play
understand.
defense all you
Again,
want.
I'm
You could be
with
a
you.
all of
I
NBA performer, but if you can't hit the side of the backboard, your talent is limited. And I'm not going to expect you to go from 31% to league average.
just look. I'm just if
Why
the
not?
Sixers don't
It
win,
happens all the time.
Not with
it can happen
non-shooters.
still. But I think it's unfair to expect. Yeah, I think
He's
it's
not a
unfair to
non-shooter.
expect.
What are you talking about?
He's definitely a non-shooter still.
A non-shooter, bro?
Fam,
Meaning that he's not a
31%.
shooter.
A man who does not shoot the ball?
No, that's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying. We're saying a man
No, I'm
that
not
is
saying he
not
doesn't shoot the ball.
a shooter. A man that is not supposed to hit shots.
Facts.
Those
He
are
is supposed to hit shots. That's what he was doing in college, bro.
31%
He was a
ain't
3-and-D
that.
player.
from 18 feet. Yeah.
Bro, you can't tell me that he's a non-shooter because the man you're moving like he's like shooting like 28. Let me even look up the
Fam,
man.
that's 31% says it all, fam. That's way below league average.
Don't even stress. Those mans are out here dissing my nigga Thibault for no reason.
Yo, if the Sixers, I'm not saying the Sixers are going to lose anything. I'm saying if the Sixers lose or if the Sixers don't get to the finals, mans are going to look back and realize that Tyrese Maxey was the difference with James Harden, and Thibault was the difference with Lowry, which isn't as bad compared to Tyrese Maxey to Harden. But that's what we're going to look back at.
Thibault was 30. He was 36% last year. He's 30% this year. But you can't tell me that he doesn't have the, you know.
So he should be 35 at least this year.
So yeah, so like for his career over the 2 years, if you mix them together, he's at 33.7. So call it 34.
That's
not
okay.
that bad. That's something to build on.
That's okay still.
Yeah, don't tell me he's a non-shooter.
You guys can convince yourself to believe whatever you want. I know better.
No, that's okay.
That guy's in the starting lineup getting 30 minutes a game. He's not hitting no 34%.
Don't worry. The turn up is coming still.
Fam, he's a senior. He was a senior getting drafted.
We believe in Thibault.
He's not getting that much better still. What is he, like 25?
Yeah, we'll see, fam.
How old is he?
So was Dame Lillard, fam.
Dame Lillard's 22,
was a senior getting drafted too.
I bet you Thibault's like 24, 25.
He's probably 24. He's not 25.
He might be turning 25.
What's wrong with this guy?
Man, we're talking about Tyrese Maxey and THT.
Let's move forward. We got two more trades we got to talk about before we get out of here. Celtics and Fournier. Celtics ended up picking Evan Fournier up for 2 second-round picks. I don't know if this does it. I don't know if this moves the needle. Like, Fournier is a great... Let me relax. Fournier is a useful player. And I think in their system, if he's coming off the bench, as I think most people think he's going to do, he'll provide value and, you know, some secondary scoring and ball handling. But, like, I don't this ain't it. For me, at least. This isn't it. Right? They got rid of Tice.
Yeah, I think...
But it's not it. Go ahead, Kev.
If you look at it in isolation, Fournier for 2 second-round picks, it's a deal. Right? Their guard play was shit, but I feel like their bigs were worse. Right? So isolation, this is a good trade, but if we're looking at the entire situation for Boston and the fact they had a 20 mil trade exception and they didn't get a big man.
29.
They didn't get a big man. It's a joke thing still. Like, when that happened, I said, all right, like, is this the first of the second? Nah. Okay, so what are you doing then? Like, what are we really looking at here? Because you came out with Fournier, and again, I think he's going to really help them. But you also released Tice. As bad as he is, I didn't think he should have got waived. I don't think.
No, he didn't get waived. He got traded.
Oh,
want to hear for what? For Luke Cornett.
Okay.
Yo, Tice
like
leads the league in illegal screens. Yeah, I watch every Celtics game. He has won a game. He sucks,
bro.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, right? Fournier is good in retrospect. He definitely is, and this was the theme of this trade. For the mans that did make trades, they were going back to like what they felt was successful for them in the past. So Denver did it with Aaron Gordon, where they said, "We lost Jerry and Grant. Let's replace him with Aaron Gordon." Celtics lost Gordon Hayward, so they said, let's go get Evan Fournier and slot him in that Gordon Hayward role. And Gordon Hayward wasn't the Gordon Hayward of now, so you would think that Fournier would be able to play that role. My issue is you get the trade exception, and that's what mans were really looking at really looking at. You get the trade exception, and then I have to hear that you traded Daniel Tice. He's not the best big in the world, but he's a valuable big man on your roster.
He
You
sucks.
traded him because apparently you don't want to go into luxury tax. That's why they traded Daniel Tice. And now I'll have to hear that you're in the buyout Martin for Andre Drummond. I'm glad Andre Drummond is saying fuck you guys, because you guys are not serious,
But
bro.
hold on, Chris. You want to pay the luxury tax for a team that has a sub 500 record?
Fam, here's what I'm saying. Why were we talking about them taking on more with that? Because they would have been, like, tell me if I'm wrong or not, but if they took in a player that was $29 million into that thing, they would still be in the tax, no?
Yeah, but that's I don't think that's the point. The point is, even if they took that
That is
player
the
on,
point, though.
no, but I'm saying if they took that player on, the expectation was that they'd be giving out enough salary for them not to hit the tax, or the player that they'd be taking on would be worth them paying the tax. But this doesn't apply in
Okay,
any
so
scenario.
let's look at scenario two. Let's look at scenario two. The player that would be worth them paying the tax, right? They got worse by trading Daniel Tice. Can that be agreed upon?
I
Just
think that
Tice,
guy's
yeah.
bad, so I can't
Yeah,
subscribe
Rob
to
doesn't
that.
fuck with him still.
All
But
right.
I think if
Well,
you give
I believe they got worse by trading Daniel Tice, and I believe that they lowered their chances of of making a reasonable run. Whatever run they would have made, Daniel Tice would have been a big part of that because of the position that he plays. So to me, it's like, you're not serious, bro. You're simply not serious, because you can't shoot yourself in the foot on one hand and then tell me why you're better in the other, bro. It doesn't work like that. They played on both coins on the same day. Got better, then got worse.
So
What's the sense of that?
Time Lord though, maybe they want to give Time Lord more. He's been playing
Fam,
well.
he's been playing well, but they don't want to play him.
He's starting,
They
no?
don't want to play. He's starting for now. Brad Stevens went and preface a thing saying that, listen, Time Lord is more comfortable playing off the bench. I don't understand that, because the nigga's not gonna get comfortable until he gets comfortable in his new role. He hasn't started all year, but they clearly don't
that
want to
just means they
start him.
don't believe in him. That just means they don't believe in
Exactly.
him.
They don't want to start him. So if you make that deal, sure. If you said, I'm gonna give Time Lord 30 minutes tonight and let him do his thing, but they don't believe in the man. So that just tells me they did it for money purposes. They got worse because they're watching pockets.
The way I see it
Yo,
is this. Go ahead, Kev. Go ahead, because I have a long take.
I
Go ahead.
think like if we look at that with this in mind now that they're being careful about the luxury tax, like we kind of have to preface our takes on Boston's now, because we kept pointing at Danny Ainge saying, "Yo, are you going to use this? Are you going to use this?" It's clear that it wasn't just that simple for him, right? Him trading out of the luxury tax is not his decision, right? That comes from ownership, that comes from people above him who are watching money as well. So it's kind of hard for me to then look at Danny Ainge now and say, "Oh, you didn't do this, you didn't use that, you didn't keep Gordon Hayward." It's hard to talk about that because I just don't know what they're dealing with, right? I felt like, had you asked me a week ago, I thought Boston didn't care about luxury tax; they were just trying to win. But now they're moving like a mid-market team in the sense that we kind of have to factor in money when we're talking luxury tax, this and that. How much is what worth? And it makes it harder to evaluate their decisions going forward. Go ahead, Ross.
Yeah, I agree, because my thing is this. I think Boston is in one of those situations where they don't want to overstep their boundaries. Like, okay, if we're talking about Vuce, and maybe Vuce is not even good enough for them to be willing to pay the tax, because remember, where they were currently sitting at the trade deadline was damn near the bottom of the table, 8th, 9th, 7th seed. Now they have to look at themselves in the mirror and say, okay, realistically, which player that we acquire right now with this trade exception is going to push us in the upper echelon with those top 3 teams, right? And make it worth paying the tax. And I don't think there was a body out there that did that. So ideally, what they would want to do is make a trade, get a guy in return, and if he makes too much money, send out enough salary so that you're still under the luxury tax threshold. And that might be Evan Fournier. But the reality is that the needle doesn't get moved, right? And like, this is one of those situations where I'm gonna spare Danny Ainge because, again, like, what was he supposed to do, right? Like, what was he supposed to do?
Yeah, we didn't know that he was dealing with. He had a money issue as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, then it goes into the whole record label, the whole crew, whatever fucking pox it on that track, like all of them. They all need to take this blame then. because they lied to the public. If I'm a Celtics fan, you lied to me. You let me believe that we are in our championship window and we're out here to maximize this window. That's what I was. That's what you guys told. That was the lie you
But
told to me.
also, Crystal.
And now, if you're out here watching pockets, it's crazy.
But I don't think this is unique to the Celtics. So I think that any team would do this. It's different if Boston had went into the trade deadline and they were sitting in the 4th or the 5th seed with a positive
I agree
record. That
still.
was a whole different conversation because then you could see yourself, you could see a player coming in and lifting you into that upper echelon. But there's no way someone is realistically going to say, you guys have a sub 500 record, 7th, 8th seed. I'm going to pay the tax and hope like a guy like Vuce is going to make you a top 3 team in the conference. Nah, boss, I'm cool.
But
And I
yo,
don't think that's unique to the
do we
Celtics.
actually see them as where they stand right now?
Bro, it doesn't matter. It's
Nah,
where they
but that doesn't
stand.
change the fact that they're there, though. Like, we all agree that they shouldn't be there, but that doesn't change the fact that they're actually there, and they may
But
not.
I feel like I've seen, and like in the past, like I've seen situations where people say like, yeah, like these guys are the, like I feel like I saw that just last year with Dallas, where you hear the narrative saying that, yeah, they are a 7th seed or they're the 8th seed, but they're no regular 7 or 8 seed. You know what I'm saying? That and in times with COVID right now, with like home court not really factoring into that degree, like, yeah, okay, they're making the playoffs. We
They
can
are.
all agree. We know that.
I don't
You know
know
what I'm
that.
saying? And we do know that, bro. Stop,
I don't
stop,
know that.
stop,
I
stop the
don't know that.
foolishness. Stop the foolishness.
Chris, with like you're mentioning COVID, right? At the same time, going into the luxury tax now is more expensive because you don't have those fans coming in.
Fair. But what I'm saying is like, yes, like they're gonna make the playoffs, and we still believe they have 2 All-Star guards at probably the most important position in basketball right now. Two wing All-Stars that play defense. You know, they have Kemba that's looking much better now of late, and to me, it's like the recipe is still there. Like I'm not gonna look at Boston and say they can't win around in the playoffs because that's what you would say with a regular 8 or 7 seed. But that's, we all know that's not the case.
But not to cut you off, Chris, not to cut you off. But here's a question I need to pose to you. That very same scenario that you're posing, first round, whatever, win a series, is that worth X amount of dollars? Because that's what it's going to cost. If that scenario is going to cost Boston $30 million, I guarantee they're going to close the books and say it's not worth it.
Well,
Because
it's more
that's
than
reality we're
because
talking
they
about, the
have
luxury
30
tax.
plus pay the tax, though.
So you guys are saying that Boston are no, you're taking Boston out of your, like, you can't fathom you can't fathom them being in the finals coming out of the East.
Not, I'll put it like this. It's not that they can't do it, but this season they've shown a lot of dysfunction on the roster, so I don't have any faith in them doing any better than what they're doing right now. And on top of that, I don't think there's any one player that's worth paying the luxury tax that's going to make it or break their season. He's going to help, but I don't think there's any one player that's just going to come in and make them all of a sudden a contender.
Is a guy like Vuce worth $40 million a year? I guess that's the question. Like, because you're going to pay you're going to pay the, like with the luxury tax, like say it goes up to $40 million a year for the total bill. We saw the Warriors added Kelly Olynyk and it cost him $75 million, right? So let's say Vuce is going to cost you a total of $40 million with his salary plus the premium that you pay in the luxury tax. Is that worth how much better he makes you? Those are
I feel like
decisions
if you add Vuce, like, again, I'm not the biggest Vuce fan, but like hypothetically, you would have 4 All-Stars on the team.
Yeah, but
yo,
you
at
had
the same
Gordon
time,
Hayward
you
too.
have
You didn't do so much either.
Who's the 4? Oh, Kemba. Sorry. So I think like they're probably looking at it and saying like, yo, we go into this year, whatever happens. We had a down year anyways. Next year, we still have those same guys on the roster who are supposed to be getting better aside from Kemba. So like, there's no need for us to, and again, this is just, I'm thinking from their point of view. There's no need for us to pay X amount of dollars to maybe win an extra round this year. Because I think in their heart, they know as of right now, they're not a championship team. Can they become one? They might think they could, but that your thought process, what you think, can't overshadow the facts and what's in front of you. That's my opinion still. Because if you just go based on what you think, every team thinks their team is good. Everybody thinks their team has talent.
Nah, not every team still.
Every team thinks their team has talent. Every team thinks these young players have promise, right? And the fact is, most of them don't.
Yeah, but we're not talking about just a regular team.
No,
You know
I
what
know,
I'm
but I'm saying in general, you can go off based off what you think, but at some point, when it comes time to put money on the table, you have to acknowledge the facts. And I think
I hear you, but like in any case, like look at the Celtics right now. What are they? 9th or 8th, right? I who and I dis. I'm not the biggest Miami Heat fan, so I disrespect them all the time. But I would say that that would be a Game 7 type series. You see what I'm saying?
But
Like, but to end
I feel like that should be 7 game series with or without Vuce though.
with or without Vuce.
Like
So
I think the Celtics are going to be tough like this year or next year, regardless of who they like. With Vuce or without Vuce, like, I think they're going to be a tough out regardless because of
so
just
Vuce
who they
doesn't
have.
move the needle then.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like if you add Vuce to this team, I don't know if I then just automatically pick them over a team like the Heat who then added Oladipo, right? Because we're forgetting that they also added Oladipo here. So I don't know. I just don't think it. Again, considering that they have an issue with money and that money means something to them, then I kind of understand why they might look at it and say, again, we're using Vuce, but I don't think he was an option because they didn't have a Wendell Carter to trade, whatever, right? But a player like
Jetta
Vuce or
Tice.
whatever, but he's obviously not Wendell Carter.
Tyson some picks.
But that's not going to be better than what the Bulls offered, obviously.
They have their picks. You just make it unprotected the same way. Top 3 protected.
But those aren't even better than a Bulls pick. That's not even better than a Bulls.
I hear you still.
That's facts.
And
to make it unprotected.
But I'm saying it's not better than a Bulls pick.
Yeah, unprotected Celtics pick is not better than a protected Bulls pick.
Yeah, it's not a top 4 protected from the Bulls.
I hear you. I hear you.
All right, yo, let's talk about this last trade before we get out of here. It's real simple. Clippers swap Rondo for Lou Will. And I will say this. Lou Williams did come out and say earlier in the season that if he got traded, it'd be the last hurrah. So I want to see if he's actually going to close up shop in Atlanta. He's at home. He played for them.
He came out and said that he really thought about retiring, but he's not going to.
If he went anywhere but Atlanta, I think he would have retired still.
What do you guys think overall about the trade? Because like honestly, for me, playoff Rondo is this big thing. Like I don't understand.
Fam, this is hilarious, right? Because when Rondo was a free agent, they said that they can only pay him $2 million a year is what they were offering, is what was reported that they were offering. Whatever the vet minimum was is what they were offering. Granted, they did have Lou Will on the book, so maybe that's just how the money shook out. Maybe that's actually just how much they could have paid him. But it's still funny that, he goes and he has his cake and he's eating it too now. He gets to go where he wanted to go in the first place and he gets his money behind it. But what I don't understand is why the Clippers had to attach two second rounders to the trade. That tells me that Lou Will is dead food, fam. And I didn't feel like Lou Will was dead food to that degree. Not worse than Rondo. Rondo hasn't done jack shit this year. Jack shit, bro. So realistically, what they're trading for,
you know what it is?
They're trading for a dad. They're trading for a father figure to handle the locker room when it comes to man like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard doesn't want to be a leader. Paul George is a bitch, so they want to get a father figure for a man like Paul George and the rest of that roster. And they're hoping for playoff Rondo. They're hoping that the man can tap into something, the allure, fam, the campfire allure of playoff Rondo, bro. It's hilarious to me. And to me, like, they should be above, trying to chase the ghost of playoff Rondo. To me, in my respect, but they also get a father figure. So
is it a ghost?
It's all good. It's a ghost.
Is it a ghost though?
It's a ghost, fam. Come on.
It's an urban legend.
He didn't perform last year.
Come on, bro.
I'm asking, did he perform last year?
He performed. Yeah, he did. He did. But
so
man's are moving as if.
But
man's are moving as if like he was performing to the degree. Yo, he had game 2 and game 6 were the 2 games he performed in. But you sprinkle the other performances in that he wasn't really doing too much, bro. Like, we need to set. Yes, playoff Rondo is cool, bro. But like, you can't be looking at playoff Rondo saying that you want him to go out. Imagine moving like they're trading for a man that's about to go out there and get a double, fam.
Fam, he played decent basketball in the playoffs. That's all it is. And because he's old, people are saying he did a lot better. Yeah, he played decent basketball.
For me, right? I think to answer your question, like, I don't think they looked at Lou Williams as dead food. I just think it's the fact of the Hawks didn't need to trade Rondo, but the Clippers needed to get a point guard. They needed to get a guy that can actually distribute the ball, and it ended up being Rondo. I think it's a good acquisition for them. They weren't using Lou Williams. It was clear that relationship's been strained based on whatever happened in the bubble. The fact that I think Doc Rivers is gone now, and Lou Williams hasn't really done anything over the past like calendar year. So you replace him with Rondo, who addresses a direct need for you, and I think it helps them. I think you're only asking him to have a couple good games in the playoffs, and you're cool. You didn't give up much. You gave 2 second-round picks. Like we can't now act like that shit means something. They give up 2 second-rounders, and they got a guy who fills a direct need for them and has experience and can show up, who's proven to show up in the highest of moments. So I think it's a good trade for them. I still think they're shit, like overall, like compared to other teams in the West, but it's good for them, I'd say. I think Lou Will in Atlanta can just go back to doing what he's always done, being that guy that's on the underdog with less pressure around him, like just goes out there and hoops. I think it's good for Lou Will as well.
Lou Will came out in his Insta post. I don't know if you guys seen it. He was
Yeah, I read
saying
it.
that you give your heart and soul to a franchise, and this is the result.
Man, that guy needs to shut up, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
He's averaging
He
12
was
points on
down
No, no,
bad
47%.
still.
no. But he was there when shit was not looking sweet still.
He was the man that you can say
He's
that
the
his
reason why.
performance is the reason why
Right.
they are who they are right now. Still,
Right. It was him, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird how they kind of phased him out. And like I kind of look at it as Lou Will saying, like, I kind of fathered this shit. You mans came in and decided not to reach practices, make the team late and things. Like, so I'm kind of happy for Lou Will. He gets to go to a place that is at least competing for a playoff spot. And they're probably gonna tell him come off the bench and do what you've been doing for years. And he's home. Like
Win-win.
Magic City's ton of
Magic City every night. Still,
Lemon pepper Lou. Holy, I'm gonna have to go to Magic City at least once in my life. Bucket list.
have them twerking right on your nose, line.
Yeah, yo, fam, can you let that go? Can you let that go,
I heard Mez are in there just eating food.
bro? That was
still.
10 years ago.
Nah, my nigga said that he wants to ass straight on his nose, still right on the nostril, fam. Crazy.
Yo, why are you saying that on the thing like that, bro?
Fam, I said that 10 years ago.
He said.
I said that 10 years ago. That's the thing about it. I said that 10 years ago. Literally 10 years ago. A decade ago, I said that.
This guy is sick still.
This guy went in the file cabinet for that one. Holy. Yeah. But yeah, man. Trade deadline, I guess it kind of met our expectations. Maybe for some, maybe not for others. For me, I'm really indifferent because again, I don't really believe in this shit anyways. But it's exciting nonetheless, right? Like, especially when you're there watching the clock, waiting for 3 o'clock to hit, and you get all those deals coming through. So we did see some movement. So honestly, we can't complain. But I think that's all we got for today on the docket. So once again, it is the Hard Report, available on all streaming platforms. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, raise that engagement. We need as much as possible, man. TikTok, YouTube, wherever you like it, wherever you listen to it, doesn't matter. It's all over the place. You can go get it and share it with whoever's willing to listen and or watch. Still coming to you every Monday morning, 8 a.m. We're going to have some interesting content coming on the way. Thinking of stuff. So it's just a matter of time. But what do you guys have to say before we get out of here? What do you think, Kev?
The trade deadlines, just allure has kind of just been built off that 1 year with the 3-team trade with Brandon Knight, IT, and someone else. Still, since then, like, man's just been looking forward to it every year for nothing to really materialize. So, cancel the trade deadline. That's my final.
Are you crazy? Nah. Hey, yo, shout out to Norman Powell, man, a Raptor legend.
Facts. Yeah, facts. Championship.
He's one of those
winner.
guys, bro. Like he just came to work and did his job. Like a lot of ups and downs with the Raptors, bro. And it's one of those things where like through all the ups and downs, you're losing a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just how it feels to me. Like it just feels like we're just lost a real nigga, a real man that was just on here just with his lunch pill, bro. Showing up this year, he's career year. I saw the stats came out saying that he's third in the NBA in shooting from deep. And it's just a shame that we weren't able to, if we were going to keep Kyle Lowry, I would have rather we just lock up shop and kept the band together. But shout out to him. And he had a good game over in Portland. So I'm happy for him still.
There we go. That's what it is. But until next time, take care. It is the Hardwood Report, man.